Welcome back to the third episode of the Learn to Wrap series. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to prepare a car for vinyl wrap. How do you prepare a car for wrap? You have to deal with quality issues in the paint. You have to wash the car, clay bar it, and then disassemble it. I'm going to show you how to do all of that right now. This is our first problem right here. This is fading and peeling clear coat. Now, if you run your hand over it, you can hear how rough that is, which means this will show through the vinyl. The vinyl will not hide this, and that's a very important point to remember. All of this texture will show right through. And the same at the back of the vehicle. All of this will show right through. So this has to be sanded completely smooth. To do that, I'm going to hit it with some 600 grit sandpaper. You can go all the way up to 1,000. It says right there for stage 3. But 600, even 800, I wouldn't go more than that. It doesn't really make a big difference. The number one problem here is that this is going to create a lot of dust, and dust is the number one killer of wraps. You see little particles and stuff underneath, and it looks terrible. So when you're sanding, make sure you got a vacuum or something running to suck up most of the dust, and also put a mask on because you don't want to breathe it in. Our main goal here is to just make the panel feel smooth. If you're like me, you know that prep is the most annoying part of any job, but it's also the most important. A little elbow grease now will pay off at the end. Okay, sanding is all done, but I ran into a problem. After I sanded these peeling clear coat areas, the paint was actually felt rougher than the areas I sanded. So it was in really bad shape. So instead of just fixing those areas that it was uneven here and over here, I just hit the entire panel. Same thing back here. These were the main areas of concern, but the whole panel felt really rough after I did that. So again, just did the entire panel. Before the body shop guys start yelling at me saying I don't know what I'm doing, I just want to say, yeah, I'm not a professional. I have no idea how to do body work. If this was a customer's car, I would 100% send it out to a professional body shop, let them do it, and once they were done, then I would wrap it. But because it's my wife's car, I'm just going to do DIY, sand it down and make it as smooth as I can at home. But that's the point of this video. This is stuff that you can do at home. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have any experience doing body work. Just get some sandpaper, go to your local hardware store, and try and make it smooth. So now that we sanded down this paint, it's time to wash it. First, get your wash buckets and fill them both with water. If you're using 2, the dirt trap should go in the bucket that does not have the soap. This way, when you rinse off your wash mitt or cloths, the dirt does not get transferred to the soapy bucket. For rinsing off the car, I highly recommend using a pressure washer. If you don't have access to one, a quick run through a touchless car wash would be a good first step in removing grease and grime. I pressure washed this car a few days ago, so it's pretty clean. This is just a light secondary wash, so a regular hose worked fine. I always start at the top of the vehicle and work my way down, making sure to wash every inch of the car, especially the edges of each panel, because if the vinyl fails, that's exactly where it'll happen. Then, just rinse off the car, and you're done the first step. Now we're gonna dump this out and see if that filter trapped any dirt in the water. Oh yeah, you can see there's some big ones down there, but there's also bunch of little tiny like microscopic dust particles, and that would scratch the paint too. So that filter, man, I'm telling you, look at all that in there. That filter is really worth it. For the next stage in preparation, we move on to clay barring. Grab a bottle filled with water and your clay bar and begin kneading the clay so it's easier to handle. Then start scrubbing the paint with the clay bar, making sure it stays lubricated the entire time. The more water, the better. This part is extremely satisfying because you can feel the years of dirt being pulled out of the paint as you go. When you feel the paint has been completely exfoliated, for lack of a better word, simply rinse off the car and dry with a clean chamois or lint-free towel. The car's all clean and now it's time to get it disassembled, but there's one main thing I want to talk about first. If you're on a time crunch or if you're planning to wrap your car right after washing it, you need to have compressed air, some form of that, because there's going to be water everywhere, trapped in all of the seals, around all of the edges. There will be tiny little water drops. And now that might not sound like a big deal, but it is. A little bit of water behind your vinyl means it's not going to stick, which means it might lift up in the future, and it's a pain. I'm speaking from experience. If you're wrapping your car the same day that you washed it, yeah, you need to blow out all of those little edges, all the little pieces of trim. You need to blow out everything with compressed air to make sure there's no water anywhere on the vehicle. Now let's go over this car and see what I would take apart, and you can apply like my rules to whatever vehicle you're wrapping. The first rule is however much time it takes to wrap around something it usually takes less time just to take it apart. So I'll show you what I mean. This mirror right here, to wrap around it will be a nightmare because this part is huge. So it's not like you can cut a little hole and slide the vinyl down. You're gonna have a seam back there and it's just gonna be a mess and make wrapping like a nightmare. So instead of doing that, it's going to be easier just to take this mirror off. But there are some exceptions with that. That exception is on some cars, you need to remove the glass, like the window, to take out mirrors and door handles. If that's the case, I won't remove them because I feel like too much can go wrong and I personally won't do it. Now, again, this is DIY stuff. If you have a customer who wants that stuff done, then if it was me, I'll hire someone to take it apart so I don't have to have the liability of doing that. But if it's just your own car, I personally wouldn't risk it. So what would I take apart on this car? I'll show you. Barring any unforeseen difficulties removing this stuff, the mirror will come off, this door handle will come off, this door handle will come off, and I only have experience wrapping one car with an antenna sticking out like this. It was a 350Z, and it's a pain. So I gotta figure out if I can take this off. Taillights will come off, this badge will come off. I'm probably gonna have to figure out a way to take off this trim piece here, we'll see. The wiper definitely has to come off because again, it sticks up. Wrapping around it's gonna be a headache. That badge will come off, that badge, and again, this taillight, obviously. This spoiler is also gonna need to come off because I'm not gonna be able to wrap under here. So I gotta figure out how to take this off. Luckily, I have no shark fin antenna. Now, I usually wrap around shark fin antennas, but like I said, it's a headache. Whenever there's a raised object, it makes it so much more difficult to wrap. So if you have a shark fin antenna, see how difficult it is to take it off. Some are just really easy. You can take it off from the top. But if you need to drop the headliner, then there's bolts and like, I don't want to mess with that. Same thing on this side, door handle there, mirror there. The windshield washer things, those got to come out because it's going to be hard to wrap around it. Headlights, it's 50-50. I usually don't take them out because you got to remove bumpers to take them out. If you don't have to take off the bumper and they're really easy to pull, then I'll usually take them out. But you know, it's like I said, it's a 50-50. We'll see what happens with these ones. And last, this grill's got to come out. So that's what I do. If you really like want to pull the bumpers and do that, you want to go to that extent, you can. I really don't think it makes that much of a difference. Most cars, you don't need to do that. And I would say on like 99% of cars, I haven't removed the bumpers and the wraps still look really good. Like in my opinion, I thought they looked really good. So yeah, that's how I go about disassembly. YouTube is your best friend when it comes to disassembly. There's instructional videos for how to remove pretty much anything. Take your time, don't force anything, and if something isn't coming out, don't assume it's stuck. Assume you're not using the correct technique to remove it. This will prevent you from breaking anything and ruining your day. This is what I mean when I say working on older cars can be problematic, or you're gonna run into some annoying things when trying to take it apart. Things like this will always happen. This is completely rusted on here. I've tried putting like penetrating grease in there to like lift it off, break it free, doesn't do anything. Tried hitting with a hammer, doesn't do anything, and this is like completely stuck. I doubt this has ever been removed in like the 25 years of the vehicle's life. So when you're dealing with rust, a lot of things will be seized up, and it's very likely that if you apply a lot of force to break them free, that you'll actually break them entirely. And well, look at the door handle. So this sleeve was sitting in the door handle like this, and the bolt was attached into it to mount it to the door. Except when I tried to turn the bolt, the whole thing turned in place here. The bolt was completely seized and I couldn't break it free. When it's in the door like this and the sleeve is in the handle, there's no way I'm able to hold the sleeve in place and spin this bolt. It's just impossible. I am going to be able to reattach this to the handle, and then I'm definitely going to grease the bolt to make sure it doesn't happen again. But these are things you have to deal with when you're working on old cars. And speaking of old cars, I forgot to mention another rule I have when you're disassembling a vehicle. It's not that big a deal because on this one, when the handle's removed, I can still open and close the door. But look at this. If the door is closed like that, and the window is up, how am I supposed to open this door if I can't reach this? So now I can just push this down and open it, and that's lucky. But if you're not able to reach anything like that, and the window is closed, meaning you can't reach inside for the interior handle, you are locked out of the vehicle. So the rule is when you're taking apart a car, put the windows down. Make sure the windows are all down. Now I haven't put them down here because I also want to change the door lock actuators. We're having a problem with that. So there's more work that needs to be done. Putting the window up and down is going to be annoying. So I'm not going to do that. So if you're going to keep the windows up to make sure you're not locked out of the vehicle, don't take apart all the handles. I'm going to leave this rear door fully intact for now so I can still open and close the door and get in and out of the car. You might be thinking, well, I just won't close the door. I'll leave it propped open so that I don't lock myself out. And that's a really bad idea because things happen, accidents happen, the door will close, and then you're locked out of the car. Or more importantly, When you're wrapping the car, you want the door secured. You don't want it moving freely and messing up your wrap. So just put the windows down. It makes everything easier. If you're not going to put them down, then at least leave one door fully intact so you can get in and out of the car. Now the door's propped open right now just to make things easier, but this leads to another rule that I forgot to mention. The inside of the doors have a light right here, and when the door is open, this light comes on. It's not on right now because I've disconnected the battery. You'll see I've disconnected the negative terminal and put this on a trickle charger so that the battery doesn't die when I'm working on the car. I found this strategy works best for me. I don't have to worry about the car dying or not starting or whatever when I'm done wrapping the car. However, some cars, when you disconnect the battery, especially newer ones, I remember in a newer CRV, there was an issue with like reprogramming stuff. So there are certain starter procedures you need to follow if you do decide to disconnect the battery. But for older cars, it's really straightforward. Now with those rules in mind, let's finish taking it apart. The car is finally fully disassembled, and this took about as long as I thought. It was way worse than any normal car or any modern car. I'm telling you guys, the age of this vehicle really made it difficult. I had to fight pretty much everything that I was removing. The handles, the grille, around the antenna, the lock on the back, and the rear wiper, which I still can't get off. Everything is covered in rust, but that's to be expected on an old car. All of those sleeves that I mentioned before that are in the door handles, they all rusted out and they all broke. So I'm either gonna have to fix them or order new handles. But again, this is to be expected on an old vehicle. Look at this trim piece right here. I wanted to take this off so that I could wrap into here and have nice, good coverage. But I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. Underneath here, see that rust kind of dripping down, the shadows covering it. But when I started loosening it, all you hear is crunching and cracking. And that crunching is a sign to stop, because you have to know, especially if you've tightened or loosened anything on a rusty car, you have to understand that when you're turning it and it feels snug, it feels tight, but you know that you're not loosening the bolt if it starts spinning. Either you're gonna snap the bolt in half, or like the door handles, whatever is attached behind there is rusted and just gonna be spinning in place. So you'll get used to that feeling. And if that happened on the door lock here and also happened, there's another rusty bolt on the side, it would just be a nightmare. And I don't know if I'd be able to put this trim piece back in. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave this in place and work around it. But the main problem is this wiper. I have tried everything to get this wiper arm off, and I can't do it. It's completely seized up, and I don't want to damage the vehicle trying to get it off, but this is real world things that you may run into. Now, there's two options here. I can go home, kind of sleep on it. Maybe I can figure out a way to get this off, even though I've tried everything. Or we can do the more realistic situation is, if you run into something like this, how do you wrap around it? Now, I don't think there's a way to wrap around this that there's not going to be a seam or it won't look like a patch job, which I really don't want. Like, you know, the whole point of this video is to show you that you can make your car look really good, even though you're a DIYer. If you're into something like this, I don't know. I got to think about it and see what we can do. Same thing with the antenna. I have to find a way to remove this or work around it that looks really, really clean. We also have to go around and clean all these areas from the parts that we disassembled, just to make sure that our vinyl has a nice, clean surface. But on a positive note, we are finally done with the boring stuff. We are done with disassembly and can actually start working with vinyl. So tune into the next video where we start wrapping the car. And as always, thanks for watching.